Good evening, welcome to Newsnight. My name is Kenneth Jesse. Here are stories making headlines tonight. Despite directives of the MPP leadership for candidates in the upcoming national elections to pull down their posters and billboards, Metro News' checks indicate that they are still erected, contributing to filth in the city. Food shortage hits schools in the Upper East and Ashanti regions. Heads of the institutions say they'll be forced to make parents pay or the schools will be closed down. We'll be hearing from the national executives. We'll also bring you the story of a 50-year-old man with disability who is defying the odds to make a living by manufacturing and selling liquid soap. And later, we'll take you to Sri Lanka, where protesters in that country say they will continue to occupy the presidential and prime ministerial residences until both leaders officially resign. Details are coming up shortly. Welcome back. Now, with less than 7 days to the highly anticipated MPP national executive elections, candidates are yet to pull down their posters and banners against directives from leadership of the party.
Sunday afternoon, less than a week to the MPP national executive elections, posters of candidates are littered across the city. The colorful posters of the candidates come in various shapes and sizes as the candidates try to outdo one another in their bid to impress delegates. The worst affected area is the Kwame Nkrumah interchange. The bridge was not spared. Some posters were displayed at strategic sections on the pillars together with other posters and filth that covered that part of the town. Despite requests by the party leadership to candidates to pull down the billboards and banners, they are very much in place. Who will ensure compliance as the massive display of posters are contributing to the filth in the city?
Let's still stay with the MPP and speak to Mr. Yaw Boabin Asamoah, who is the Director of Communications for the party. Good evening, sir. Welcome to the show. How are preparations so far towards the upcoming elections?
We're virtually 95% complete, I would say, because it covers the electoral process and then the logistics. For the logistics, we are ready. Transportation and everything else involved is ready.
Right. It looks like...
Okay. And for the election, again, we are closely with the Electoral Commission. And I believe as we speak, we are all comfortable with the process that the Electoral Commission has put in place.
Right.
So we are virtually ready.
Okay. It looks like some of the candidates are going against your directive not to mount billboards and banners in the streets, as you rightly heard in a story we played before we spoke to you. How are you going to deal with such people?
Unfortunately, I didn't hear the story you played, but there are two ways. The party can sanction, because we have sanctions to everything that we do. But at the same time, we prefer to rely on the goodwill and self-restraint of candidates. And so, as far as I'm informed, and I believe it's happening and will continue to happen, there's a task force that is pulling down whatever is up, and then hopefully nothing new will go up till before then. We give room for the headquarters area and then the venue itself for billboards and banners and within the stadium premises,
Right.
but not outside the stadium premises. So I hope the enforcement will go on as planned.
Right. And with barely a week to the final day, are there more candidates who have withdrawn
Withdrawn, as in,
from contesting in the elections?
oh, not that I'm aware.
Okay.
Not that I'm aware.
Okay. You also gave a directive that nobody should influence the delegates by way of feeding them and all that. How is that compliance going?
Yes, what we have said is that we don't want personal items distributed within the envelopes of the venue, as in on that day. Essentially, we expect campaigning to have ended 24 hours before the period. So you don't want to come in and be sharing T-shirts, branded souvenirs, branded water, stuff like that. Is what we're saying. That we don't want any of that happening 24 hours before and within the Congress grounds. And we are serious about that.
Right. What should Ghanaians expect during that day concerning the conduct of the elections?
A very orderly, smooth, and successful leadership contest. And in expectation that we'll come out with the best possible crew, who will then move forward to arrange our presidential race and parliamentary primaries, and then get on with the job of getting back the people of Ghana to win the 2024 election.
Right. Mr. Yabuah Asamoah, thank you very much for speaking to us tonight. So let's now take a look at some of the contenders in the upcoming race. So with the chairmanship race, we have Stephen Ayensu in team. We also have Stephen Asamoah Boateng. We have George Kwabena Abankwah-Yeboah. We have Professor Christopher Ameyao Ekumfi. We also have Akwesi Osei Ejei. We have Gifty Ama Asantua Aye. We also have Sammy Crab. And with the General Secretary, we have the incumbent John Buedu, who is contesting again. We have Justin Kodua Frimpong. We have Idrisu Musa. Frederick Opariansa is also part. Charles Bisiu is also part. And Ahmed Ajiman Prempe is also contesting. With the national organizer position, we have Henry Nanabuache contesting. We also have Daniel Ni Kwate Titus Glover contesting as well. Eric Amwakuchum is part of the race. Bright Esifil Kumi is also part of it. We have Seth Edueje. Nana Owusu Fojwo is also part of the contenders. And with the women's organizer, we have Kate Jemfua and Hajia Sauda Tusaid. With the youth organizer, we have Abanga Fusaini Yakubu, Salam Ahmed Mustafa, Prince Kamal Guma. We also have Michael Osei Boateng. And of course, Metro TV will bring you a comprehensive coverage of these particular elections. Take a look at this.
Well, the die is cast.
There was some really close contest in the New Patriotic Party's recently held elections, right from the constituency to the regional.
It is now the turn of executives who lead the party at the national level in its ambitious quest to break the eight. Will it be old faces, new faces, or a mixture of the two?
Find out as we bring you an extensive coverage of the New Patriotic Party's national executive elections from the 15th to the 17th of July, right here at Accra Sports Stadium.
Join our team of expert analysts here in the studio and on the ground on your election central, right here on Metro Television.
And of course, Metro TV is the only place to be concerning the MPP national elections. Away from that, 2 people are confirmed dead, while 3 others are battling for their lives at the Ewutu Bojuase Polyclinic following an accident that occurred at Ewutu Obrachere in the central region. 7-year-old child died on the spot while a teenager later died at the Bojuase Polyclinic whilst receiving treatment. Eyewitnesses say the driver of the Toyota Camry car was driving at top speed whilst approaching the Ewutu Obrachre township and lost control of the steering wheel, running into a crowd that had gathered at a popular drinking spot. Some eyewitnesses spoke to the news team.
And I rush here, meaning a young of foot in a nearby. Thereby, no, not can say drinking sports in him. Near Russia, me rushing and granted, Colamino war, for more Macana and a canna form smoke. Back when you know, you never could do my day. It ma dumping at the APP. Back on the she and back on the way. You put a final clinic. We Oma any pami no more can be in here.
No, I'm not so plan anywhere to say a chap into my prapa, my pra. My pra, never know this spirit dodo. I am Mokaka Montobo, Webra, Blacha, the Ayasa, get to Accra, Webra, and Tim into me, Omonia car for Fran, nobody are quite scheduled. We Webra,
to be Shemo, Obi Shemo, Asiano, young to mention as a sea, it is almost Pedacan as you say.
Meanwhile, former DCE for the Ewutu Senya district, Stephen Kwame Quay, who also witnessed the accident, said he had earlier cautioned the driver over his recklessness along the stretch, but it fell on deaf ears.
And Toyota Corolla, Ebesami, Honamri car ordeno, na equino engeno, me yamu shame. Eti economy who say speed omodeno esa me frɛ police for ɛwɔ kwan so a ɔmayɛ mount barrier no eti me frɛ ya na mensa anka omubia na mu abra me twemu akɔ break no na barrier no wɔ hɔ eti na me wɔ gidie sɛ nko duru hɔ a barrier no be stop no na ɔma caution no na me so me frɛ sɛ nka sɛ ɔmo fire nka na ɔma caution driver because na me hu no na eni soso eti me duru hɔ no na barrier no Omo ye free ho, police ni biye ni ho. Less than 5 minutes a midu obrachire no. Na car na me kan asem no. Akogura provision store. Provision store no e wo kwan ho de ba ye kwan ho bebre. Ezan se emu twen kakra. Na maame no de mofra no na eton se provision store de maame no ye aduane na mofra no sete ho eton. Mofra mienu eti kan no wura fa etwifa abofra ba akoso na say wura mu bi speed na ode no ano ode ebu block no esan ko wura drinking spot bi e man no so e kan abofra no eti me ka sei ye wo ho na e ba say no ene ye de naba polyclinic adia mintumrika na me mehwe me bai no asam no kre wo hwe enan no sania esi aye no kra na e asefem.
Motorists in the Greater Accra region are appealing to the government to fix all malfunctioning street lights in the capital. Some drivers bemoaned the lack of street lights contributes to the cause of road accidents in the country. My colleague Kofi Otuo-Bequin was on some streets of Accra and has come through with a full report.
Street lighting, which is to provide illumination in the night, is increasingly becoming a decorative facility in many parts of the country. While some streetlights have remained non-functional for a long time, others flash on and off, posing a threat to motorists and pedestrians across many parts of the country. The Abdul Gamel Nasir Street at Osu, the Liberation Road, which leads to the Ministry of Defense, the Spintex Road, and Awudome Cemetery at night is pitch dark as most of the streetlights there are unfunctional. The situation is similar to some other principal streets of the capital. For many commuters plying various roads within the metropolis, and it's quite frustrating to think that after many years, nothing is done about the situation by relevant authorities. In 2020, the Ministry of Energy announced the commencement of installation and replacement of more than 14,000 energy-efficient streetlights in parts of Accra. This gave some a glimmer of hope to the citizenry. But after more than 2 years of the ambitious promise, the situation still remains the same. Malfunctioning streetlight floods the street.
To tell the authorities to come and fix the street light for us, because when we pass here, at times it is difficult because of the darkness we be finding it here around here, and someone can even come and kill you. And if you are living in the country and we are facing all these problems, I think it's not good. And the people who are in charge should come and do something for us so that we can pass here civilly, because it will kill us one day, and they should not let us die before they will come and do something about it.
They make me account for street lights, and I say one thing Ghana because I cry him crew.
What I can say about this street light is Accra is Ghana's capital. All the lights are not working. Everywhere is dark, and in case there is attack, there will be no support. Whether the person is holding a gun or a knife, you wouldn't know. We are pleading with the government to come and fix it for us.
No more street lights. No,
Reporting from the Spintex Road, Kofi Otiobekwe, Metro News, Accra.
Thank you very much, Kofi. Now, a 50-year-old man who lives in Techiman has defied the odds of disability and ventured into a micro-enterprise of his own. He makes and sells soap for a living. Here's more.
Kwame Kuma, popularly known as Computer, is a resident of Techiman. He was a very good mechanic until he sadly lost his leg in a car accident. He said his wife left him due to his disability, and now he has to single-handedly cater for his 3 children. With no money and no support, he was compelled to send his children to the village. Left with no option, he ventured into liquid soap production and hogs from one community to the other. His dream is to expand the business. He aims to properly brand his products and someday export them. For now, he manages to earn between 60 and 300 Ghana cedis monthly. He says it is barely enough to cater for him and his children who are back at the village.
Now, the University of Ghana has held a memorial lecture in honor of late politician and economist Dr. Jones Akwesi Amwakwata Oforiatta. Various speakers, including President Akufo-Addo, commended the late statesman for championing an economic system that ensures the success of private enterprises. That's what's coming up after the break.
We live today in Africa where public office holders have the audacity to dip their hands in the public till and expunge monies that can build roads and hospitals and schools. And what bothers me is they take that money to a flight, it goes overseas. How dare you go give those monies to the same people who colonized us?
Hello again. The University of Ghana has held a memorial lecture in honor of late politician and economist Dr. Jones Akwesi Amwakwata Oforiatta. Various speakers, including President Akufo-Addo, commended the late statesman for championing an economic system that ensures the success of private enterprises.
Dr. Jones Akwesi Amwakwata Oforiatta is a politician who served as Member of Parliament for Begor in 1969 on the ticket of the Progress Party of the Busia government, as well as elected Member of Parliament on the ticket of the Popular Front Party in the Third Republic, becoming minority spokesperson on finance. He was Deputy Finance Minister of Ghana at the age of 31 under Busia administration. He later became a lecturer of economics and later Dean of the Faculty of Social Studies at the University of Ghana, Legon. He was the father of Ken Oforiatta, Minister of Finance, and uncle of Nana Akufo-Addo, President of the Republic. Dr. Oforiatta was 86 years and died in Accra on November 30th, 2020. At an inaugural lecture in his honor, various speakers, including President Akufo-Addo, eulogized the man they described as a legend.
The protection of human rights, a strong believer in the market economy, The state-directed, state-managed economies in the end would never succeed. And that what you wanted to do was to set a system in place where private entrepreneur, private enterprise, the work of entrepreneurs, of private people, properly motivated, would be the way to develop economies. These were his views then, and they were the views throughout the rest of his political career.
Former Speaker of Parliament, Professor Aaron Michael Quay, said the life of the late economist should be a guiding principle for future generations.
I've heard about him. What would he say? Will the fearless Ghanaian patriot keep quiet, or he will have valid pieces of advice for the nation he loved? Certainly, he will speak out. Among other things, he will point out the economic trajectories of the COVID pandemic, its global trends, and the obvious economic consequences of the Russia-Ukraine war. But he will not end there at all. He will point out the structural deficiencies in our economic system which have existed for decades and which continue to make us fragile and perilously dependent on imports. Madam Chair, suppose an incident of global magnitude occurs today, which will mean that we shall have no imports, no flour, no meat, etc., no cooking oil, no imported indomie, no foreign rice, no imported bottled water. If we cannot survive in this, and we know it will be difficult to survive, then we have really got a problem as a people. And it's a long standing problem.
For the Ochehine, Osajefo Mwitio for repenning, Ghana will overcome her current economic challenges.
Talking about him in his public office, no one can ever accuse him of dipping his hands into any public till. It takes a man of integrity and honesty to ride the shores of public office. And I have one time, get his hands in the public till. We live today in Africa where public office holders have the audacity to dip their hands in the public till and expunge monies that can build roads and hospitals and schools. And what bothers me, they take that money to a flight, it goes overseas. How dare you go give those monies to the same people who colonized us, and leave your people more impoverished? Jones teaches us that you can be a public office holder and serve your nation and not be corrupt.
You're still watching Newsnight. Let's bring you more stories tonight as a Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, George Mrikuduka, has vowed to cause the arrest of small-scale miners who go contrary to the legal framework drafted by his ministry.
The commissioning of the concessions follows recent commissioning of various community mining schemes in the Ashanti, Western North, Ahafo and Bono, among other regions. The first port of call was the commissioning at Esunafo in Etiwa West. Small-scale mining activities were formalized.
I'm sounding a note of warning that you should come forward. Come to the district assembly, register, let us know you, fulfill your obligations, and enjoy your mining activities. The standards that are going to be applied within the community mining framework are equally going to be applied.
In the Etiwa East District, the commissioning was done at Asamai Tamfoy. The youth were elated as the move is projected to reduce unemployment in the enclave.
Community mining way,
Deputy Minister for Land and Natural Resources, George Mrikuduka, speaking to the media, noted that the commissioning has become necessary to properly streamline activities of artisan miners.
Previously, we could just get anywhere, get a community mining commissioned. Now we've indicated to the general public that it's not like getting, community mining just commissioned. We want you also to follow the manual that has been published, that there must be a health post on site, there must be an office, there must be a changing room. You must also admit geologists and mining engineers on site, that people who in a way will direct as to how best you can follow international best practices. It's very important and dear to our hearts.
Judge Miracle Duka also warned persons who flout the legal framework of this project of arrest and confiscation of equipment.
We have procured some speedboats that very soon we're going to also put on our river bodies. This speedboat, we are recruiting river wardens who will be permanently also placed along the river banks of the various river bodies in this country, just to make sure they patrol and police these river bodies all day or 24/7. And the Operation Hall 2 will not relent on that. They will also be doing their usual work of using the helicopter to be patrolling and be arresting recalcitrant who wouldn't listen to the warnings that we give.
On his part, Zambian Minister of Mines and Resource Development, Paul Kabuswe, maintained that Ghana's mining sector has a lot to offer the Republic of Zambia, who has recently begun exploit in gold mining.
So now we are going into gold. So we want to see how we can formalize the gold properly, both at large scale and also the artisanals. Our focus really for coming to Ghana was to look at how you are doing the formalization, and pleasantly, it's a coincidence that is so pleasant that we are able to be part of the launch of these two formalizations. Okay, and looking at the technologies that you are using, I must say that I'm so impressed with what I've seen.
The entourage also visited some small-scale miners in the region. Ghana has in recent years suffered the effect of illegal mining ongoing in our forest reserves and water bodies. According to government, this move, which will be subsequently carried out countrywide, will help better protect the ecosystem. Shadrach Odame Ejari, Metro News, Eastern Region.
Still in the Eastern Region, the chief of Asunafo, Nana Ofusukwabi Ayebiashe, has warned minors to eschew sexual child abuse in the area. He was speaking at the commissioning of small-scale mining concessions in the region.
Yesre mu bebre enhyehyɛ nananom ene aban ade agu kwan so no obia befa so yesre se obi mfa tumi bi nhyɛ ne nsa se won de ne ho odin etu ode patapa ebebe sunafo na trimu po a ɔman no ene nananom ahyehya to ho no emamu die migyina mi wura nam any abanem, any DC anem, enya dia, yebema ne se kwan no. Iti ne yesra ne se, yensi obi kwan. Yenum se mining ayabie ne aye community mining. Ye wo yenuanom a, omukura small scale wa ha. Ye omo a aye large scale. Ye bese se ebra deputy minister ebue kwan. Ye wia committee wo ho. DC any nananom committee no obia odo nkrata beba na nananom ahwem na dwumadie bi a wo bedie no mineral commission EPA any wo mo akeka ho wo mu nyina aboa ni ahwese obi adwumadie a wo die no akoyie na ye wie a ahye sebe nananom anumonyam na hye aban so anumonyam ne bi akoka.
We have more stories coming up after the break. You're welcome back to the show. Let's now take you to the Ashanti region where some youth of Swami, together with artisans and spare parts dealers, have expressed disappointment in the MP for the area, Osei Mensah Bonsu, and the MPP government for failing to fulfill their campaign promises. According to them, the Swami constituency has been deprived of development even though the MP and his government promised to fix their roads and develop the Swami magazine into an industrial hub.
Addressing a press conference at Swame Magazine, leaders of the Ashanti youth of Swame accused the ruling New Patriotic Party government of starving the Ashanti region of the needed development despite being the party's stronghold. They described the attitude of government towards the region as deceptive, adding that promises made by President Akufo-Addo and the Member of Parliament for the area, Osei Mensah Bonsu, to construct interchanges at Swame Roundabout and 4 other locations in the region have not materialized. Isaac Afre is the spokesperson for the group.
We have no development. We have had 8 elections since 1992, and every government that comes, Ashantis are denied development. But if you look at the history, no political party can win an election without the Ashanti. Every political party that wins an election, wins the election from the Ashanti region. And that is why we feel that we need a development in the Ashanti region. If you look at the 1992 election, President Wallace won the election because the Ashantis voted for the NDC. Yes. You cannot win an election without the contribution of the Ashantis. So why are we suffering? Why there is no development in the Ashanti region? Look at our roads. Look at our health sector. Look at our transport sector. Everything that is happening is nothing to write home about.
The chairman of Ashanti Youth of Swame, Nana Uhusu Ampofo Chumesi, who is the chief of Dwenehuno community in the Ashanti region, was of the view that the New Patriotic Party government had not shown any serious intent to develop the region.
Anything here, Kai president say any Kutani dia, young woman and Tamram. Now by us, Mamma Pipi. One day, Sabias may be our co. Oma Catchery, now a baby Diumunia. It's your best, yes, Say, as some I can on China upon my end.
The aggrieved artisans, spare parts dealers and residents of Swame hit the street in protest. Reacting to the concerns of the aggrieved youth, the Municipal Chief Executive Officer of the Swame Municipal Assembly, Maxwell Ofosu-Kwakye, said they were justified in their demands and urged them to be patient.
No matter what the government will do, we will still ask for more because it is these people, let me say Ashanti region in general, that gives this government the strongest backing to make us what we are today, or which made us what we are today. So I wouldn't begrudge them on that, but I only tell them to exercise restraint and be patient with the government. I know it will not stay this way. As soon as possible, I know the contractor will come to site, and then whatever needs to be done, we will fix it so that we will bring comfort to users of the road.
Now, the science laboratory at the Kumasi Academy School in the Ashanti region was established 64 years ago and has since not undergone any renovation works. Currently, it can no longer accommodate the science student population of 300. The students are therefore appealing for a befitting laboratory to enhance teaching and learning. The Kumasi Academy School in the Ashanti region is one of the leading high schools in the country, noted for their excellent performances in both internal and external examinations. Established in 1954 by American missionaries at Asokore Mampong as a seminary and later a secondary school, the name was then changed to Asokore Mampong Secondary in 1964 and was later renamed Kumasi Academy. The school is bedeviled with several challenges, including inadequate infrastructural development. The school prefect, Nkrumah Festus, outlined some challenges they go through as students.
With over 300 science students, the science lab could only contain not more than 40 students at a time. This has been a great challenge faced with the science students of Kumasi Academy. Also, we were faced with lighting problem, where we were having shortages in the light supply, and even with the flow of water, which wasn't frequent. Having such an ultra-modern facility on our land should be used as an opportunity for an academic immunity.
The headmaster of the school, Samuel Kwame Jato, while outlining some of the challenges facing the school, also appealed to the Old Students Association to come to their aid.
As an institution, when you visit
Our seminar hall is not sealed yet. The sealing has not been done. We have a very cute health center. We need to be resourced. All these things are there. We need help from all stakeholders. We know that past students are doing their part. We're calling upon anybody at all, being past students, NGOs, to come and support us.
And from the Ashanti region, let's now take you to the Central region, where some divisional chiefs of Commander have threatened to break away from the traditional council following the installation of an individual whom they thought to be unfit to succeed the Omanhene, who is deceased, Nana Kujokru II.
At a meeting, all 5 divisional chiefs of the traditional council, including 31 sub-chiefs, swore not to recognize one Nana Komen VIII as Omanhene for the Komenda traditional area. The chiefs say the installation did not follow the principles of the Komenda traditional area. According to them, a petition was sent to the Central Regional House of Chiefs against 1 out of the 3 candidates during the selection process. They indicate that they would not regard the newly installed Omanhene. As such, they have threatened to break away to form an independent traditional council. Nana Njuko V is chief of Komenda Dampoase and Benkumhene of the Komenda Traditional Council.
One of the candidates, called Azekaka, stands disqualified because according to their taboo, anyone who had gone a fishing before is debarred from contesting or occupying the position of Omanhene. So we called the president of the Regional House of Chiefs because the petition was addressed to him and told him that this is what we've received. And therefore we find it appropriate, just and fair to await the outcome of the petition. Some days later, even though we've not heard anything from the House, we got to know that one of the candidates, one of the nominees, had been confined. So quickly, myself as a member of the Kingmakers, with Nana Kojochi II and the Paramount Queen Mother, we initiated court processes. We filed the same on the 27th of June at the Judicial Committee of the Central Regional House.
Queen Mother of the Traditional Council, Nana Adwoa Bedu, who also spoke to the media, expressing disappointment in how the Central Regional House of Chiefs treated their petition.
Amambra Kwandono, Wanseno, Msekwambiadono, Manjantum. I want Nanam Penufasi, one question. Then, Yanjintum, Mr. Minjintum, my mamma said upon one pair out, Mbakasa, Mr. Minjintum. And I hear now watching what commander no. Minyam Hoshi, Amambra Kwandono, men say no. This is a motibi. Amambra Kwandono, Malaminjin to me then Madima to Michina.
In a speech delivered by Osajifo Kwame Akono IX, Vice President of the Central Regional House of Chiefs, during the celebration of the Edina Bakatui Festival, the House called on all traditional councils in the region to desist from divisive tendencies.
Sayaka Afarofo, Obia Okopo, Onye Ejuma Sabia, or the Yatu to the Fum, Inti Obi to the Sorakade, Say Ekopa, Inti Hina, Onye. Yes, sir. The masterman said, Obi Kebia in the on Thursday. Here constitution Nangasasi. Azibiara Ogunyimpa Hufi, Ogwejuma Hufi. Yetum. Now, as far as the Central Regional House of Chiefs is concerned, there is nothing like our Ekopunzi, it's here now, Onye.
Eid al-Adha is a time for giving, and what better way to celebrate than receiving a pound of fleshly slaughtered meat, or better still, getting a full cow. This is what non-governmental organization Direct Aid has done to put smiles on the faces of some Muslims and non-Muslims across the country. Over 120 live cattle were donated by Kuwait-based NGO Direct Aid as part of this year's Eid celebrations. Despite the challenges that have emerged as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, the organization says it remains committed to its mandate of supporting the less privileged. In fulfillment of Islamic principles, Direct Aid also slaughtered over 300 cows and shared a pound to people who cannot afford or cannot have it on regular basis. Over 1,500 people got a pound of the fresh meat.
All over Ghana, Direct Aid Society is trying to slaughter about 300 cows. And then the number of beneficiaries that we are expecting should be at least 3,000 individuals. 3,000 individuals should benefit at the end of today. But then before we went to slaughtering, we've already shared live cows to some of the opinion leaders, elders, and then chiefs, and then imams. And then that one amounted to 120 cows. That's only in Accra here. But today, so far, we've slaughtered 70 cows.
For these excited beneficiaries, this year's Eid will be remembered for a long time. At least they have meat to munch on with their friends and loved ones, thanks to Direct Aid. Business News is next. In business tonight, the Bank of Ghana has issued a directive to banks in the country to allow non-resident Ghanaians who have yet to register for the Ghana card or do not have access to their Ghana card to use their passports for banking transactions until they are able to obtain their cards.
The directive comes a few days after banks started demanding the Ghana card as the sole ID for banking transactions, as earlier directed by the Bank of Ghana according to the National Identity Register Regulations 2012. In this regard, customers of banks were asked to visit their banks to link their Ghana cards to their bank accounts. In a supervisory guidance note on the use of the Ghana card, the Bank of Ghana asked financial institutions to allow customers who have not linked their accounts to their Ghana cards to make deposits. Also, members of the diplomatic corps are to be allowed to use the foreign passports as a means of identification for banking transactions. This is in line with the National Identity Registration Regulation LI 21112, which exempts the diplomatic corps from the usage of the Ghana card. According to the central bank, deposits, either by cash, check or transfers into account of customers who have not updated their records with the Ghana card should be allowed by financial institutions. However, no debit withdrawals should be placed on such accounts.
Now, the Treasury will issue fresh CD-denominated debts of 1.95 billion Ghana cedis during the third quarter of the year to meet government's financing requirements, and this is according to the issuance calendar from the Ministry of Finance. This forms part of the gross issuance targeted amount of 23 billion Ghana cedis for the period, of which about 21.12 billion cedis is to roll over maturities. Per this calendar, the issuance will be made through debt instruments, including the 91-day and 182-day bills, which will be issued weekly. The 364-day bill will be issued bi-weekly, also through the primary auction, with settlement being the transaction date plus 1 working day. Securities of 2 years up to 7 years are expected to be issued through the book building method by the bond market specialists. Meanwhile, the Treasury may reopen the existing 5-year dollar bond based on investors' requests and prevailing market conditions. Available data suggests that the dampening liquidity conditions on the money market continued to weigh on the Treasury's auction target as of May 2022, with a target size of 6.43 billion Ghana cedis in May 2022. Just about 4.60 billion Ghana cedis was raised from the market, a shortfall of 28% 1% compared to the total auction target for the month. By the end of this week, the Treasury will be seeking to sell 928 million Ghana cedis in 91 to 364-day bills, on to refinance 821 million Ghana cedis in maturities next week. There is much expectation of a successful auction as market players continue to hunt for attractive yields at the front of the belly of the yield curve. International news is next. Protesters have said they will continue to occupy the Sri Lankan presidential and prime ministerial residences until both leaders officially resign. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa said he would step down on 13th July, according to an announcement made by the Parliament Speaker on Saturday. But the president has not been seen or made a public statement himself. Thousands descended on Colombo, which is the capital, on Saturday, demanding his resignation after months of protests. Thank you very much for being a part of the show tonight. My name is Kenneth Jesse. Have a good night.